January 2015, on the grounds of Stanford University, one of the wealthiest and most exclusive academic institutions in the world, a horrific assault took place. A young, unconscious woman was assaulted behind a dumpster by a high-profile student-athlete named Brock Turner. The assault was interrupted by two Swedish graduate students cycling past the scene. They saw what was happening and chose not to look away. When the attacker tried to flee, the cyclists physically chased him down, tackled him, and held him firmly to the ground until police arrived. Because of these witnesses, the events of that night were unambiguous. The perpetrator was arrested on the spot, and the physical evidence was entirely undeniable. With the arrest made and the evidence secure, the case moved into the courtroom, a setting where the physical reality of the crime would soon meet a very different narrative. In the courtroom, the defense team immediately went to work suppressing the details of the crime. They focused the proceedings entirely on the attacker's status as an Olympic-level swimmer and his supposedly bright future. The victim was reduced to a pseudonym, Emily Doe. Throughout the trial, her trauma was sidelined, treated as a minor obstacle in the trajectory of the athlete's promising career. This strategy worked. Presiding Judge Aaron Persky handed down a surprisingly light sentence of just 6 months in a county jail. The ruling created a massive void where accountability should have been. The court had clearly decided that the comfort and potential of a privileged young man mattered more than the harm he caused. Emily Doe refused to accept this legal conclusion as the final word. She recognized that the defense's version of events would become the permanent historical record if left unchallenged. Instead of staying quiet, she wrote a 12-page victim impact statement and stood in the courtroom to read it directly to the man who attacked her. She used unapologetic, visceral language, telling him, "You don't know me, but you've been inside me, and that is why we are here today. You took away my worth, my privacy, my energy, my time, my safety." Miller's statement served as a rigorous, step-by-step dismantling of the court's logic and a direct challenge to the justice system's failure to protect her. Through the sheer precision of her writing, she ceased to be the passive, anonymous figure the defense had tried to create, becoming an active, vocal opponent of the legal status quo. The impact of her words could not be contained by the courtroom walls. BuzzFeed News published the full transcript of her statement online, and within days it spread exponentially across the internet. Millions of people read the letter in a matter of hours. The text reached the highest levels of the United States government, prompting a public response from then Vice President Joe Biden. The letter cut through the noise because it dismantled the defense's carefully curated image of a good athlete making a mistake. It forced anyone reading it to look directly at the severe human cost of the assault. The public read the facts and entirely rejected the court's lenient ruling. The official legal narrative was replaced by Emily Doe's truth, creating a unified cultural demand for real consequences. That massive digital outcry quickly materialized into localized political action targeting the judge responsible for the sentence. Activists and voters organized a massive campaign, leading to a highly publicized recall election aimed at forcibly removing Judge Persky from his seat. The campaign succeeded. Persky was voted out, making him the first judge in California to be recalled by voters in over 80 years. Following the recall, lawmakers in Sacramento drafted state legislation that became known as Chanel's Law. The new bill specifically targeted the judicial loopholes that had allowed the 6-month sentence. It amended the penal code to mandate automatic state prison time for anyone convicted of assaulting an unconscious person. This sequence of events proved that a massive shift in public narrative can lead directly to the creation of new, binding statutes. Years after the trial, the woman the world only knew as Emily Doe made the decision to permanently shed her pseudonym. She stepped out of the shadows and introduced herself as Chanel Miller, reclaiming her identity through the release of her memoir, Know My Name. Her story exposes exactly how legal institutions can be warped by privilege and bias, but it also proves that those same institutions are ultimately vulnerable to the truth. When a system fails to deliver accountability, a single, unwavering voice can rally the public, dismantle an unfair narrative, and force the law itself to change.